Greetings, saints. Praise the Lord. Yeah, so just an update on today. We're really, really grateful for today. And as always, the Lord is doing things. Today was a day when I felt like we saw the Lord doing some things, which isn't, always the case. Sometimes we just preach the word and trust that He uses it, but not really seeing fruit. But today was good. I felt like we had some good interactions. And so same flow of the format for today as we did last week. So we started off at the high school and went there, and I guess just we saw Dominic again, when we heard Dominic again screaming at us from...
Oh, you saw him.
Yeah, I saw him, and I tried to get his attention to come over again, but he didn't. But if you pray, it would be awesome. I feel like we're just trying to make contact with the savage natives who, because we talked to some friendly ones, but there are some that just seem like from a distance very, very upset for whatever reason, obviously, but there's like a hatred of the gospel that manifests in yelling from across the parking lot. And I really hope to talk to him at some point, but 2 weeks in a row he's yelled at us, and it'd be really, really great to talk to him. But we had some good contact with some students, saw some ones that we even saw last week.
Yeah,
which
it was
nice.
Pretty quiet, but there were definitely Colin and that other guy who went to the Pursuit Church. I don't think I got his name, but he goes to one of the local churches.
Yeah, yep. Yep.
Okay.
So yeah, that was good. Hopefully encouraging to some saints driving by, getting some beeps, and just trying to stand for Christ there. But it definitely was quieter than last week.
Yeah, I did see some people from church driving by though, or other Christians that I knew in the area, even if they didn't go to our church.
Yeah.
Saw them driving by, so that was good.
Yeah, that is good.
Did those guys working on the house next door want to talk at all?
No. Well, I mean, they weren't standoffish, but yeah, there's a part or a house being worked on right next to the high school. Went over there on the way out, just kind of gave him some tracts, and he received them gladly. But they were working, so I didn't want to interrupt too much. But so that was good. And then we headed out, went to near the abortion mill on Route 1 to start at the Dragon Cement plant or flats, call them. And then stood there for about 30 minutes, and that was nice. So it was nice to be out there. Nothing's crazy eventful.
No.
I don't think.
Just the regular people honking at you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Carl and Sophie came to join us.
Oh yeah, Carl and Sophie came to join us there.
We had 2 extra, so if you guys are watching, thank you so much for coming out. That was a blessing. And then we spent the second half of the hour as close as we could get to the main family planning. I brought Mark's, I don't even know what you call it. Amp. Yep, with a microphone, which I had at Route 1 too, when I was kind of trying to preach to any car that stopped at Buttermilk Lane at the stop sign, so they could just try to interact with them if they had their windows down, to share what little I could with Christ with them. But then when we went down to the family planning, right off of the bat, there was a woman parked in the parking lot, and I had it in my mind. Virginia said I should do it too, was just start preaching toward the building just to see if they could hear us. And so I just kind of stood there and preached facing the building as close as I could, and hopeful that people on the inside could hear. But I wasn't preaching long, and then this woman who had just been parked there pulls out, and it was, probably had a lot of hurt, but she was upset with us being there, kind of slandering us, and says, they don't even do abortions here. And we were not letting that argument go by, and we're like, yes, they absolutely do. But she kind of stood with it and said that they don't. And then once we were like, we can show you evidence that they do abortions here, she wasn't really trying to have it. And then she says, you guys make me want to get pregnant so that I can have an abortion at this place that doesn't do abortions. So I mean, it was just one of those things. The arguments are so weak and so flawed, but obviously I think sometimes just filled with a lot of pain. And I was really hopeful that she would stop and talk with us and try to be able to just share Christ with her. I was just like, I would have loved to just listen to her talk, but she wasn't in the mood, and so she just kind of headed out, drove off, and that was a bummer. But who knows? If you think of her, pray for her. We don't know her name. I did ask her name, and she didn't give it to us. But yeah, and then there was somebody else who came in. A guy came with his significant other, I assume his wife, and they had a car seat in the back of their truck. And so I stopped preaching so
Yeah.
Virginia could leave.
I tried to call out to the woman, but she didn't really want to talk. Like, I tried to ask her to talk for a little bit before she went in. So it was just kind of she was like at the door by the time I got to the point of, please come talk to us. When that was over, she was pretty much at the door. So I tried to talk for a little bit after she had gone in. I don't know how long they can hear me after I go in there because I didn't have any amplification.
Yeah,
So
right.
my voice doesn't carry very far. And then you talked to the guy for a while. After
Yeah.
that was done.
Yep. I just began preaching and then kind of addressing him directly and encouraging him if he was a dad that, like, where are the fathers? We need the fathers to rise up, and trying to call him out directly. And then he rolled down his window and said, "She's just here for birth control." But he seemed to receive it well. Just when I said, like, we just plead with anybody. So if that's all you're here for, then all right. But and he said he was a Christian. He said he goes to church, and so I didn't really debate with him. But I preached for about 15 minutes there, which was great. Hopefully they hear it through the doors, and we can continue to combat and storm the gates of hell there with the gospel. So that's good. And then just real quick on the way out, there was across the street there is a landfill
Transfer station.
So there are people over there who hear the preaching and stuff like that and see our signs, and they're like almost as close as the abortion mill is, just across the street. And then on the way out, somebody from the transfer station came out and said, "You guys are gonna come back on Saturday," because he said it's packed here and tons of people would listen, or hear the gospel. So it's good. And so we had an inside person that was working there who's glad that we're there, and 5 or 6, 7 people were in and out of the transfer station hearing preaching. So I think that's a whole separate potential impact of this ministry,
Yeah,
which is really cool.
definitely.
Which is cool.
Exciting.
And then Chapman Park, which that was probably the most eventful, I feel like, in some ways. I mean, obviously abortion ministry is like a whole different breed, but that one, we had a great turnout. We had all of us, so me, the whole Copperthwaite family, but then we had Carl and Sophie join us again for that. We had Oliver King, and
That was
that
it
it?
today.
that was it.
today.
Yeah, but that was still a good turnout.
It's a good
13 people.
Yeah,
turnout.
13 people.
13 people around multiple corners.
Exactly, yeah. So it was great, and I think that this team has grown so much, and I hope that more and more people continue to come. I'd love to see God continue to grow this team, but I'm just so incredibly grateful for, in a short span of time, 2-3 weeks, it's already like multiple people coming, and it just seems like God is stirring. So I'm very, very, very grateful for that. And when cars go by, they see a large group of people right on this 4-way corner, there holding signs, having fellowship. Today we even introduced some preaching with the same amp, which was really great, preaching the word. Good conversations. I don't know, did you have any
No, people
memorable-
don't talk to me. They all talk to you.
I
Like
got,
she
like-
wants the mic.
yeah.
She's the one
Nobody
next
talks
her.
to me.
One person took a track from me, but nobody's talked to
Oh,
track.
really? Okay. Because last week I felt so like we were in the desert. But today, for whatever reason, I felt like we got in a lot of good conversations. Or I thought we did. But maybe it was
You
just me.
got into
Yeah.
People didn't even take track. I don't think I even gave tracks to anybody. I don't think.
I did
One
not
track.
give up one single track. I tried real hard.
I
Wow,
think
okay. So that was me. I just got all the good ones today. But okay, so I guess I'll just do all the sharing for this one. I met Randy, who sounded. I thought he was from Jamaica, but he was from some other island. I think I'll remember it, Santiago, maybe something like that. But I'll remember it after we're done recording. But he was here for a little bit. He works on boats, and I thought he was just gonna be a standard kind of Rastafarian, has no idea of the gospel. And so I was really ready to share with him because he was listening and he was open to talking, but I was I was kind of assuming that he wasn't, but by the end of the conversation I was convinced he knew the gospel, and I was excited about that, and it was really great. And so gave him my number, and he was asking about church, and so hopefully he comes to church. Probably 30 years old. Cool dude. He's staying at the Trade Winds, so I'm excited for that. So hopefully we hear from him. And then my favorite story of the day, maybe my favorite story in like, I don't know, it's one of my top probably 10 street interactions I've ever had. So I meet this kid who is, his name's Adrian. Adrian. I give him a gospel tract, and he's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Well, I'm a Christian. We're sharing the good news of Jesus." His first response is, well, that's good because I'm planning to go kill my family right now. And I'm like, you know, you hear the crazy things people say, like, I eat babies for breakfast, like just random
Yeah.
stuff. And I thought it was like that. I thought he was just like, oh, Christian, I'm just going to say something belligerent just to like mess with this guy. And then he starts walking away after he said that. And so I was like, I'm just going to kind of like press into that a little bit. So I was like, I'm not going to just let him walk away. So I try to follow him, try to talk to him. He keeps walking away from me. And I was like, hey, let me ask you a question real quick. And I didn't even know I was going to ask him. I was just hoping, I was seeing if he'd stop. And then when he stopped, I was like, shoot, I got to come up with a question. And so then I was like, how many people are in your family? And then he actually answered, and then he starts talking, and he opens up. And after about 45 seconds, I get the impression that he like really has it in his heart that he wants to kill his family. And I don't know if he would have done it. I have no idea if he would have done it or not. I'd like to think not, but he seems like it's like abusive or something unhealthy. He didn't really explain it a lot, but it seemed like there's a lot of pain there. And he was saying, I got the impression that he really genuinely wants to kill his family, which is unreal. And so as he's opening up, I start to see like he's not trying to get away from me. He's sitting ready to talk. He's like a street kid, 14, 15 years old, punk, kind of like, you know, very worldly, doesn't know if he believes in God. So I just do some like basic apologetics with him, and it's cool because he has a friend named Ian who joins us, and basically just doing basic stuff to get him to acknowledge that there is a God, which he was all about. And then as the conversation progressed, sharing the gospel, the doors just flung open to share the entirety of the gospel and the fullness of it. And he just seemed to really, really grasp it, understand it. A couple times it almost seemed like he was going to start crying. He asked me a ton of questions. I think he really knew that I've been through kind of what he's been through, and like some of the same temptations. We were talking about the abomination of so much music that just wants to like glorify evil. And it was just fantastic. And this kid just like, I told him, I was like, I think it's amazing that God had me and you meet at the corner of a street when maybe you were about to do the dumbest thing imaginable, throw away, not only if you did it, all of their lives, but also your life. You're a 14-year-old kid, like you're just gonna like end up in prison. To maybe speak into your life at that moment, to have you not do this horrible thing, but then also like God's extending the gospel to you. And it just seemed to like kind of hit him. And this other kid, Ian, I was trying to talk to him a little bit, but Adrian was like the main one. And I'm just like, it was awesome. And so if you're still listening to this video at this point, that's like the main kind of thing for me today was that. And there was some other good things, you know, other like hard things, you know, people driving by and like stuff we could talk about, but I feel like those are the main takeaways that we'd love prayer for. And if you're interested in joining us, love more people. I think you'll have a lot of fun. Everybody left today with like big smiles on their faces. Carl and Sophie, Oliver were just like, this is awesome, doing this stuff, doing ministry. And
The dude on the bike that pulled up, he was like, this is awesome.
oh yeah,
Oh yeah, the guy on the motorcycle really liked it.
yeah,
you guys
yeah,
took
yeah.
somebody.
Yeah, on our way out, as if it wasn't enough already, like one guy stops on his motorcycle, like Harley, and we're like, oh, what's going on here? He
Like pulled up on the sidewalk.
drives on the sidewalk, and we're like, oh man. But he's like, where do you guys go to church? And I guess he doesn't have a good solid church, so Brother Mark went over and talked to him for like 10 minutes at the end. So maybe this guy will end up going to church. So it's good to be, I think, an encouragement to the saints on the street. A lot of people seem to be encouraged by the ministry, but also as the main emphasis, we're trying to be fishers of men and share the gospel with the lost. And so if you're looking for an opportunity, honestly, we'd really love to have you join us. And so I don't know how it works, but connect with us and pray for us.
Yes.
Yeah, but God is so good, and great privilege to be able to share the wonderful good news. So, yeah.
Yes. I tried to strike up a conversation with one guy because I started signing a song when we were out there.
Oh, you did? Okay.
And then that guy who was sitting at the picnic table before that Oliver got to talk to and stuff, I guess he was looking at me and he, I guess, enjoyed it. And then Abigail was like, he signed something to me. I'm like, what did he sign? She's like, I don't know. So then I tried signing to him, but he wasn't responding back in ASL. So I'm like, oh, too bad.
Okay. All right. Yep.
I was hoping to get a conversation with somebody. But,
Oh, and I guess I did pass out more than one tract because Randy came up and was like, "Hey, can I have a tract?"
All right.
Sure.
All right. Yeah.
that's good.
How many times do you have somebody ask you for a tract? Like you're trying to
Rare.
get them to people and then they ask.
Yeah. That
That's
is rare.
true.
Yeah. Take it.
Yes.
Yep.
But it was a good day.
It was a good day. Awesome day. Wonderful fellowship. Praise the Lord. So, yeah. Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, bye.